If we wanted to store the data within the RDBMS, normalization is must. Without this, the rules, normalization means the rules. So without the rules, we will not be able to effectively manage the data. Okay, that is the normalization over here. And it could be as a small data as we are taking in our assignments, or it could be a huge data like the data of Amazon, you can say. So in both the places, this what you call that these rules will be applicable. So now, why the normalization? So here, what does it say? The normalization is the process of effectively organizing the data in the database. It is a set of rules, guidelines, or the statement which we follow while storing the data. There are two major reasons behind the normalization. Number one, eliminating data redundancy, and number two, ensuring data dependencies make sense. Now, what do you mean by data redundancy? Data redundancy means the duplicacy of the data. Data redundancy means duplicacy of the data. That means the same data should not be stored at multiple places. For an example, if you are storing the uh, address and the city of the employee in the employee table, you should not store it again into the salary table. Making sense? I
Yes,
need
sir.
your participation over here. Something very important I am discussing. So please be participative.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So it is saying that the same thing should not be stored at multiple places, and ensuring data dependencies make sense. So again, taking an example from your assignment, in the assignment you have seen that we have taken the data, we have stored the data into two tables, the employee table and the salary table, correct?
Yes, sir.
We have stored the data into the two tables, the employee and the salary table over here. And uh, before to enter the data into the salary table, there must be the record into the employee table, correct?
Yes, sir.
You will be giving a salary to only those employees who are there in your company. Making sense?
Yes, sir.
Right. So in this scenario, there must be a parent-child relationship among the tables. That is what it is saying. How it is done, we will just talk about. Okay. Now, there are various normalization form. Then the first one is the first normalization form. In short, it is known as 1NF, which says define the data item. This means looking at the data to be stored, organizing the data into the column, defining what type of data each column contains, and finally putting the related columns into their own table. So what it is saying, defining the data item, defining the data item. That is, again, taking an example from the assignment, that when we are storing the data, if we are in our assignment, what we are doing, we are storing the data of an employee. So what all information regarding the employee we need to maintain? Okay, we need to store the employee ID, name, address, city, phone number, date of birth. Let's take marital status, experience, etc. Okay, department designation, salary, what all attributes regarding the entity you wanted to maintain, right? That is known as defining the data. Okay,
Right, sir.
defining the data. This means looking at the data to be stored. Organizing the data into the column, this means giving the appropriate column names like EID, DOB, department designation, etc. Defining what type of data each column contains. So if you remember, whenever I have given you the tables, we discussed on the data types, that where we will be taking care, where care, date, int, what will be the size. Yes or no? We discussed,
Yes, sir.
right? So that is again a part of the normalization form. And finally, putting the related columns into their own tables, which means If you have noticed, we have created two tables. In one table, we have the salary information of the employee, and in another table, we have the personal information of the employee. Personal information,
Yes, sir.
name, address, city, phone number, etc. And the official information like department, designation, salary, and so on. Okay?
Right, sir.
All right. So this is all is said by first normalization form. Second point, it is saying ensure that there is no repeating group of data. So as I just said, if we have restored the address and the city in the employee table, we need not to store it again into the salary table. And the third point, it says that there must be a primary key. Okay. Now, what is a primary key? First of all, key means the field. Key means field. So primary key. Primary key is the field that uniquely identifies a record in a table, right? So that means let's assume that you have a twins in front of you. They are 100% identical. Okay, you have a twins in front of you. They are 100% identical. Their height, color, complexion, hairstyle, everything is same. Now, how will you come to know who is Ram and who is Sham? So let's say their color of their eyeball. That is the one thing which cannot be common. So then that particular thing can be considered as the primary key. So it is saying that there must be some field on the basis of which a record can be uniquely identified. Clear?
Clear, sir.
Clear?
Clear.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So these are the rules laid by first normalization form, and then we have the second normalization form. Now, second normalization form says it should meet all the rules of first normalization form. That is, if second normalization form has been applied, first is already there. And the main point, it says there must be no partial dependencies of any column on the primary key. What does this mean? Now, for this, let's take an example. So I have, let's say there are two employees joining the company, David and Robert, same date, same time. Okay. And I have the two employee IDs, E1 and E2, available with me. Assuming that the employee ID is the primary key. Assuming that the employee ID is the primary key. Now, can I assign E1 to David and E2 to Robert? Yes, no? Can I give E1 to David and E2 to Robert?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I can. Can I give E2 to David and E1 to Robert? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
We can definitely give. So I can give any ID to anyone.
Yes. Out of these two.
Right. We can definitely give any ID to anyone. Okay. So here the point is saying that it should not be a compulsion on me that this ID should be given to this person only. Let's say, for an example, David is from Delhi, so I will be giving him the ID E1. No. So whatever the primary key is, whatever the primary field is, it should never come under the influence of any other field. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So that is what the second normalization form says. Okay. And then comes the third normalization form, which says it should meet all the rules of second normalization form. So that means if third normalization form is applied, so first is also there and second is also there. And the main point, it says that the table should have relationship. There must be a relationship among the tables. What does this mean? Again, I will repeat my example. Let's say in your employee table, you have an employee number 1 to 7. 1 to 7 employees are there in your employee table. Can you add employee number 25 in the salary table? Yes or no?
It should be within the sequence.
No, it is not talking about the sequence. Forget about the sequence. My simple question is, you have the employee ID even to E7 in the employee table. Can you put the employee ID E25 in the salary table? Yes or no?
No, sir, because it doesn't exist in the employee list. So
Absolutely correct. You will not be able to put it over here in the salary table because that employee does not exist. Logically also, how can you give a salary to employee who does not exist? Correct?
Got it.
Correct? Making sense?
yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So that
Yes, sir.
means in order to insert the data into the salary table, there must be a data into the employee table,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
in this case, I can say employee being the parent and salary being the child. Okay, so this is a parent-child relationship. What is that is what the third normalization form is saying, that there must be a parent-child relationship among the table. Clear? So these are the three normalization forms. Any questions on this? Till here? Any doubt? Any questions? Anyone?
So for multiple tables, we have to first identify which one is a parent, and then
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. You will get a very good example further in the module. We will
okay.
be doing that.
Okay.
Perfect. Right. Any other questions on this?
No, sir.
Okay, if nothing, let me. So this normalization is a very, very important topic, not only from the user's perspective, but also from the interview perspective. So I would say almost 90% of the cases when you go for an interview of SQL, you will be getting this inventory, I'm saying normalization, a question from the normalization. Now, let me give you an example what type of question you can expect. So the question could be, what is normalization? So your answer will be, normalization is a set of rules. Another question, why normalization? Answer, eliminating data redundancy and ensuring data dependencies make sense. Next, how many normalization forms are there? Answer, there are three normalization forms, first, second, and third normalization form. Next question could be, can there be any more normalization form? Can there be third, fourth, fifth normalization form? Sorry, fourth, fifth, sixth normalization form. So the answer is, what do you think? Can there be four, five, six normalization form?
Not
No.
required.
100% yes. There could be n number of normalization form where 1, 2, 3 are standard and further are customized. For an example, in your company, you have a rule that none of the employees should get a salary less than 50,000. So this is a rule. I can call it as a fourth normalization. In your company, you have a rule that you will not be hiring anybody from, let's say, Faridabad. Faridabad is a no hiring zone in your company. This could be considered as the fifth normalization form. Again, let's try to understand it with the help of the example of traffic rules. So there are some standard traffic rules like stopping at the red light, wearing a seat belt, wearing a helmet. These are the standard rules which are applicable almost everywhere, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
However, you must have seen there are some rules like U-turn not allowed, left turn not free.
Yes.
Okay, so these are also the traffic rules, and if you will break this traffic rule, you will be penalized for this as well. Okay, but they are customized; they are not applicable every. So 1, 2, 3 are standard. Further are the customized. Understood? Clear?
Clear, sir.
Perfect.
Yes.